Hello and welcome to Count on Our Simplified Advice, a 360 podcast that talks all things employee benefits. Of course, it's in partnership with Alexforbes. My name is Nicolette Mashile and I am your host. I'm sitting with the beautiful Belinda Sullivan. She is the head of corporate consulting strategy at Alexforbes, and she's really going to assist us to get a better understanding of the value of group benefits. What exactly are we talking about? You know, many of us, when we do our interviews at work, we sit with the HR manager, for instance, at some point in the process, right? And they take you through what the breakdown of your package or your salary, your CTC is going to look like. And some of us leave that meeting feeling a little bit like, what do they mean when they say I'm going to be paying medical aid, I'm going to be contributing to retirement, or there's some sort of group life that I'm going to be contributing to? You start to feel like, why are these guys wanting to take a big chunk of my actual salary that's supposed to hit my bank account? Because you simply do not understand what the value is of you joining that type of a program. And today we're going to bring it all to the table and have a conversation around it. Belinda, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Nicolette. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. Belinda, before we even get into all of that, tell me, the Eastern Cape, as a province, you are now working, you're living in the Eastern Cape. How has it been for you so far?
It's been great. Yeah. So I'm living in Gqeberha, which was previously Port Elizabeth. And we do have a bit of a water shortage, like a drastic water shortage at the moment. So aside from coming up to the north to have a nice deep bath, other than that, the Eastern Cape is great. I get to go for walks on the beach and to chill with my family, and really a much slower pace than Joburg and the rest of the Gauteng area.
I mean, the space that you work in is quite an impactful space, right? I want to talk a little bit about when you were still at NNMU and you were deciding or thinking about what type of space you were going to work in. Was this something that you envisioned? Did you ever think this is what it would look like?
Not at all. So while studying, I think I had a very different idea of what that certificate would give me, and didn't realize at that point in time that piece of paper is just a piece of paper. It's a stepping stone to get you a job at some point in your life. And the career is really, once you've taken that step, to building from there as to the direction that you can go in, because there's so many things out there that literally trying to decide that this is where I'm going to be and what I'm going to do is very different in reality once you're in it. So I got into the employee benefits environment, and I have a passion to make sure that people save for retirement, that they understand, what it's all about, and make sure that their loved ones are looked after in the event that something happens to them. And really just to make people's lives better overall. I mean,
let's go into what it is all about. I mean, when we talk about group benefits, most of us, the first two things we think about is medical aid, because it always feels like the standard that a lot of employers offer you, medical aid. And if you're very lucky, there's a pension fund that comes with those group benefits. But when we speak about group benefits, if you were to explain it to a 6-year-old as to what are group benefits, how would you explain it to them?
So group benefits are really packaged benefits that your employer provides you.
Okay.
And that has short and long-term benefits for you as an employee. The great thing about it is that those benefits are compulsory for you to participate in. So it's not a voluntary thing. And what that means for you as an employee is that it's deducted from your salary. You don't have to actually now go outside in your personal capacity to find individual life cover or individual medical aid, for example, and try and find out, how am I going to afford this? So when we look at South Africans in general, most of the benefits that they enjoy are really the benefits that are provided via the workplace. So what the employers provide from a package perspective becomes critical for them, not only for their personal future in terms of savings, but in terms of their healthcare, the benefits in terms of what is offered for my family if something happens to me. And I touch on healthcare. I mean, healthcare has been a major aspect in the last 2.5 years with COVID and the challenges that people have experienced there. And in addition to that, so have the funeral and the death benefits been critical for families. And sadly so, because they've utilized those benefits. And, you know, I think if they didn't have those benefits, if we look at communities where people don't have those benefits, they might just have a funeral benefit. How does the rest of the family carry on if the breadwinner is gone? So, I mean, that's why group benefits are so important. And how they're packaged is critical for the employees in terms of their long-term opportunity as well as the short-term side. So I have some extra money now in my personal capacity that I can put away for a holiday or top up my savings or look after my family, you know, do something nice with them, because I know that I've got that peace of mind that everything else is taken care of on that side. And while we talk about the value for employees, there's a value for the employer too. I
was about to get into that. It's like most of the time you see some of these companies have that sticker that says Employer of the Year or Top Employer. What would add value to an employer to offer their employees group benefits?
So first of all, an employer wants to remain attractive in the workplace, or in the work environment. They want to be able to get great staff, great skilled employees into their working environment. So they want to attract, they want to attain them, they want to retain them. And part of the benefit package is what employees measure, you know. So it's not just about how much take-home pay do I have, but what are the benefits, the softer elements that I'm getting as part of this employer-employee relationship? So for me to remain motivated, engaged, and contribute to your bottom line, I need to know that there's a reciprocal or you giving me something and I'm giving you my personal time in terms of making this engagement and our work bond work for us into the future.
From some of the insights that you guys have done, what are South Africans like attitude or sentiment towards group benefits?
So, like I said, the bulk of South Africans rely on the benefits that are provided by the workplace. So the need for those benefits is critical and is valued by the employees. I think with COVID, you know, the tangible benefit of that funeral benefit is sort of front of mind, because you get to experience that more than, you know, the retirement fund benefit. So we find that a lot of employees value their risk benefits, so their healthcare and their death and disability and funeral benefits, probably more so than their retirement benefit. Because they see the usage of the healthcare. I go to the hospital or the doctor. Funeral, if someone in my immediate family passes away, I have a benefit that I can now see that it's tangible, that I can use it. And if something happens to me or I become disabled, there's that benefit as well. So they really do value that from an employee perspective. When I consider trying to get employees to think about retirement, you know, we come with the millennial YOLO, 65, 60 is really way down the line. Do I need to start putting money away? And our job then is to try and ensure that, first of all, employers understand that they need to try and encourage people to save and to understand what that future self looks like if they don't, and providing a decent retirement plan and access to it is really something to make sure that people have food on the table in their old age, that they can actually retire comfortably, and not just about income for necessity and just getting by, but being able to have some income for comfort as well. And I think the employer, through providing the benefits, is giving or supporting sort of the social obligation for employees to encourage them to do that. We know that employees who take up individual policies, insurance, or even a retirement annuity or a unit trust, for example, when financial times get hard, as we've seen, that's what they chop first.
Yes, definitely.
And then what happens? But because my group benefits with my employer are compulsory and I have to contribute that money, or I have to pay the premium for death benefits, those benefits continue for me.
Yeah.
So it does provide some support when the going gets tough. There's still that benefit there for them.
It's quite interesting that, as you mentioned, and kind of put it into two different baskets, that from an insurance and a risk perspective, we all have bought into the idea. And then here comes retirement, and all of us, have this, but it's still far, or, and I was thinking, as you were speaking, that this middle, what is called the sandwich generation, wouldn't exist if we can just get people to understand that they need to sort out their retirement, right? Because I can anticipate having my family now having to move in, my parents, my folks having to move in because they maybe didn't save enough for retirement.
Yes.
And it gives me now that pressure. So I think it's quite an interesting one to know that not only is it beneficial for yourself, but for future generations, especially in your family, for financial well-being.
100%.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about saving and, the saving that you can get as an employee if you, and I don't want to say subscribe to group benefits, but if if you look at group benefits holistically and what they can do for your finances, what type of cost savings can one anticipate?
So first of all, when you join a retirement fund, an employer-sponsored retirement fund, or even a retirement annuity, the benefit there is that you get to enjoy the tax deductibility of the contributions.
Okay.
So while you're paying more towards savings, you're actually benefiting your pocket because you're getting that sort of deduction.
Yes.
And so you're getting a benefit in the long term, and you're getting the monthly benefit of that tax saving. And then in terms of other group benefits, there's some group benefits that even pay the benefits are tax-free, like your funeral benefits.
Oh, lovely.
And the premiums are treated a little bit differently depending on how they're paid. So there is a benefit around how the benefits are structured for you as an individual in your pocket, or when you're claiming the benefits. I mean, if we look at healthcare, you also get your medical tax credit. So, that's sort of the part that you benefit up front. If we look at the group as a basis,
yes,
you get the economies of scale of that group. So you benefit from an aggregated costing. So if I go out and buy an individual policy, I'm rated on my age. I have to undergo a medical before I get any scrap of cover for myself. And then I start paying and my premium as prescribed. If I pass the medical, and if I pass it without loadings and exclusions that come with that. Now, on the group benefit side, we have quite a bit of cross-subsidy in terms of the pricing. So it's an average age of the members, or we consider the average member that is used in terms of that pricing. So depending on your age, you actually may be paying maybe a little bit more or a little bit less, but you're getting the benefit of the group as a whole.
Okay.
And the even better benefit of that is that the group benefit cover is provided medically free up to a set limit.
Oh, okay.
So depending on the size of your organization, you have, as soon as you join, you have that cover without having to provide any evidence of health. So you get that cover up to the set limit, and sometimes those limits are like 5 million rand for group life.
Yeah.
So a lot of the employees don't have to undergo any medicals in their working life to enjoy that cover without exclusion and without loadings. So it's only when they start to exceed those limits, then we write to them and we get them to go for a medical, but they still have that cover medically free up to that point in time.
Sure, that's quite interesting. You also said something about cross-subsidizing. Now, I'm just imagining if because of the economies of scale, they're looking at the entire group and kind of putting it, from an age perspective, but a junior employee and a senior employee who's been in the organization for long. Do they have an opportunity to choose within the group benefits? Like, for instance, with medical aid, would I be able to choose an option within that is being offered that would be suitable for myself, or do we all get a stock standard group benefit?
So, Nicolette, it depends how the group benefit is set up.
Okay.
So you can have a benefit that is, and this is basically the average benefit that we find most companies provide, 3 times annual salary. So your annual pensionable salary is what your death benefit would be based on, or your disability income benefit, would be based on, say, 75% of your monthly pensionable salary. And then you have companies that say, well, I'm actually going to offer my employees a core level of cover and give them flexibility up to certain amounts that they can choose how much they spend on their benefits. And that's where we have what we refer to as a risk retirement trade-off. So in other words, I decide I would rather have a lower benefit because I'm at a particular time in my life where I don't need to spend that much on benefits. And I would rather spend more or allocate more to my retirement savings. Or I might be wanting to increase my life cover. I might have just bought a new home. I don't want to take out the additional policy for the house. So I increase my life cover because I know that my money in the fund is also lower. And that can offset in the event that I pass away. So what we generally find is that where there's flexibility, your sort of younger and middle, say to age 45 members want a higher level of cover. And as people get closer to retirement, their fund credit is much bigger. So if we combine that with the lump sum, they're actually quite well off in terms of their benefit should they pass away. And also older members might not have younger children. And, we make sure that people understand and get advice based on the decision. So we don't want to leave people to decide, well, I don't want to save for retirement. I'm going to put everything on death benefits. We make sure that it's balanced to give them some benefits and make sure that we allocate to retirement funding as well. So there is flexibility, but it depends on what those rules or the scheme says at that particular organization.
Now, are any of the group benefits transferable if you move from one employer to another?
So yes, again, it depends on the policy conditions. So if I have a death benefit or a disability benefit, I have the option, depending if the policy allows it, to convert that cover into an individual policy without having to go for a medical, which is great. So if I have a medical condition and I'm concerned that I perhaps wouldn't get life cover in my personal capacity, I have 30 days or 60 days, depending on the policy, to convert that into a policy in my name with the insurer that is underwriting it at that point in time. And the difference, though, relative to the group benefit is that the premium that I pay is then based on rate per age as opposed to that average rate. So it can be more expensive, but at least I know I can carry that cover with me. Funeral benefits, you can't convert the funeral benefits. So that would generally be a benefit that ends, and some policies don't allow for those benefits to be converted. So it's always important that you understand what the benefits are that your employer provides. So not just knowing that I have a death or a disability benefit, but what those policy conditions are. And most employers, aside from having access to talk to your HR, getting advice and access to advice is part of the link up, say, with companies like Alexforbes, that you get to go and have that one-on-one consultation or access to an advisor to guide you in terms of understanding what those decisions are that you're making, especially on exit. Because aside from the group benefit that you can convert, you can also keep your retirement savings in a preservation fund for your retirement and not for a nice cruise somewhere.
And not for, I'm going to buy big trucks for business, please.
Yeah, they see that a lot.